Just 2 months after President Cyril Ramaphosa declares a national state of disaster on the electricity crisis, government terminates it. It says the declaration of a national state of disaster helped in many ways, especially in municipalities at a local government level.
By applying the disaster, you unlock quite a lot of things. Building of tankers into school by municipalities for the supply of water to learners. The same tankers to hospital for the supply of water to patients. Boreholes without necessarily following a process and even reviewing the budget for the supply of patients and any other. So it's not a disaster looking only at it, also had the word impact on health, social services and many.
Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of CoGTA, says the threat of court action did not feature in government's decision to terminate the national state of disaster. This despite the state attorney earlier requesting that trade union Solidarity withdraw court application to have the state of disaster scrapped, informing the organization that the legislation would be scrapped. Solidarity had accused the government of giving itself more power despite there being enough laws at its disposal to solve load shedding.
If we don't need a state of disaster, do we need to be in court? If you don't need the state of disaster, you don't then go and brief senior counsel to say, take me to court just so that we can be in court. It doesn't make sense. You arrive at a determination that, well, on the basis of the current review, we do not need them, so we don't need to be in court. So the point of the court technically becomes moot.
Questioned on what impact the termination of the state of disaster would have on emergency procurement of parts by Eskom, this is what the minister had to say.
Essentially, there are provisions that allows for deviations, and those deviations, emergency, and also those deviations have to address the issues around the agency. If urgent action is not taken, there could be, if you like, a harm to critical infrastructure, and therefore you don't have to go through a competitive bidding process. That dispensation exists in the PFMA. The other area is around the sole provider. So if a turbine is produced by a manufacturer X, and then there's a component that needs to be fixed in that turbine, of course you don't open up to everyone. You do explain yourself why I have to go to that particular manufacturer, because this is the original equipment manufacturer. He's the only one that can give me this component.
Nkadimeng says that through the Energy Crisis Committee, government will continue to implement plans to end load shedding using the existing legislation. Natasha Piri, SABC News, Pretoria.